How is everybody doing today? Welcome to the Sounds Like Liberty podcast. I'm your host, Nicky P, here with my lovely wife and co-host, Lizzie.
What's up?
This is episode number 20 with the Launchpad Media, always launching ideas in your direction.
Wow, 20. Awesome.
How are we doing today, Liz?
I'm doing all right.
Are you sure?
Yep.
You're a little hyper?
I'm a little hyper. I'm going to be honest with you folks. I'm pretty hyper today.
Okay.
There's a lot of coffee happening.
So, we've got a few things we're going to do today.
Yep.
We're gonna talk about a Lauryn Hill song.
Yes.
We're going to invite people to listen to some new music.
Also true.
And we're going to talk to Mr. Zama Rripa, a libertarian musician.
The guy's really cool.
He is really cool. So, let's get started.
All right.
Today's episode, we're talking about Doo Wop, That Thing, by Lauryn Hill off of The Miseducation of Lauryn Hill.
I remember I wasn't even into hip-hop or R&B or any of those things. It's like that.
Well, it's good because this is none of those things.
In my family.
It's a doo wop song. It's pop music.
Well, I get that, but yeah, this song was everywhere. I still got there.
Yeah, because Lauryn Hill was everywhere.
She was in Sister Act. What are you gonna do?
Yeah, exactly. And that's why you're into her.
Yeah, that's true.
Like, she was a thing, Liz.
I agree.
And now she's a mom and hides from people. So, anyways, this is a fantastic song. Honestly, the record's fantastic. Mine and her politics definitely do not agree. However, there is a certain degree in which I definitely feel like this particular song totally jibes with my worldview. Let's just subtitle this Personal Responsibility, the song.
There you go.
I think she's using it kind of myopically, but I think ultimately the message can go wider than that. So,
Well, I mean, she's speaking from a place where I think a lot of people connect with her and they're willing to take her message seriously. So, yeah, anyone speaking about personal responsibility from that place, I think is possibly a good thing.
Well, and the other thing is that, I mean, let's be honest, this particular type of personal responsibility she's talking about has wide-ranging repercussions for failure to adhere to it. So, guys, you know you'd better watch out. Some girls are only about that thing. What thing are we specifically talking about here, Liz?
Yeah, see, I never quite figured out if she was talking about sex or money in this context.
Both.
Okay, fair enough.
That's the point. Guys, you know you'd better watch out for women that are only after you for your money. Girls, you'd better watch out for guys that are only after you for your pussy.
Oh, I see. Fair enough.
And that's why the song is structured the way it is, in which each verse attempts to.
Right. Yeah. Okay. And that makes sense because that makes me think of Call Tyrone.
Yeah, lyrically, it's a fantastic. Like I actually really like where it goes. So, you want to do this gender wise?
Yeah, sure. Let's go for it. All right. It's been 3 weeks since you were looking for your friend, the one you let hit it and never called you again. Remember when he told you he was about the Benjamins? You act like you ain't hear him, then give him a little trim. To begin, how you think you gonna pretend like you wasn't down when you called him again? Plus, when you give it up so easy, you ain't even fooling him. If you did it then you'd probably do it again.
Fuck again.
Fuck again? Yeah, fair enough.
I'm gonna be honest, Liz. How did like you get so dark and have literally no ability.
There's like literally a hand in his face right now because I'm not even trying to hear.
I mean,
you're dumb.
If you were even if you were white, like you should be able to recite poetry. And like, you just, I love you, baby.
Whatever.
But you rap like you dance.
Fair enough. All right, talking
to her own beat. Well, let's just stop here. So I mean, it's pretty well laid out what this is about right there. Just the basic tenet that, so you're not fooling anybody. This is a decision that you made. It's very clear that you made this decision. Like, dude said, I'm about the money and this is just a thing, but if you're down, we can do it.
Right.
And then you pretend that you didn't hear all that because you don't want it to be that. You want it to be something that he never offered.
Right.
You know, and you can't detract your personal decision to ignore all the evidence and do something else. You know, and then you can't be upset when you've established that this is the situation and he's trying to take advantage of the situation that you laid out, and these are the expectations.
Yeah.
The next part we'll dedicate to all of the people that would be, I don't know, probably Christians that listen to the show, if there are any. If you can get past my potty mouth and still consider yourself a Christian, then God bless you. Go on.
I don't think that's that big an issue personally, but
okay.
That's just me. Obviously, I'm married to you. Okay, talking out your neck, saying you're a Christian, a Muslim, sleeping with a jinn. Now, that was the sin that did Jezebel in. And who you gonna tell when the repercussions spin? Showing off your ass because you're thinking it's a trend, girlfriend. Let me break it down for you again. You know I only say it because I'm truly genuine. Genuine. Don't be a hard rock when you really are a gym. And baby girl, respect is just a minimum. Niggas fucked up and you still defending them. Now, Lauryn is only human. Don't think I haven't been through the same predicament. Let it sit inside your head like a million women in Philly pen. It's silly when girls sell their souls because it's in. Look at where you be in. Hair weaves like Europeans. Fake nails done by Koreans. Come again. And that means that bit I've always really connected with because not just like the Christian commentary thing. More because.
Well, I mean, she's Muslim, so I mean, there's.
Well, no, and she does throw that in.
All the religious stuff there, like you're lying. First off, if you prescribe to one of these faiths, you're just fucking lying. Right. You're not really any of these things because you're not listening to what those books taught you.
Yeah.
Like literally lays down the story of Jezebel there for you as an example of like, yeah, no, they totally address this shit, and you're not listening.
But then also talking about, you know, trying to be hard, like, oh, I don't care about any of this stuff, and I can be a player with the players, and then just throwing out like the respect is a minimum. Why are you being with someone who doesn't respect you? Like, that should be the very least what you're looking for in a relationship.
Absolutely.
And you know, that is absolutely something that, you know, has always struck at my heart. Well, since I kind of recognized that in my own life, at least.
Specifically, there's a line in here, showing off your ass because you're thinking it's a trend. Do you get the impression that she's saying, well, you're acting like this is just a phase or something, like that it's going to move past? Like, eventually, you're not going to be in this part of the relationship. Well, or is it just because that's what's popular?
Yeah, no, I always took it as a commentary on the idea of dressing in a way, like dressing like a hoe, basically.
Yeah.
Because that's the way people dress when they go to the club when they're 18 and they're idiots. And, you know, and not recognizing that that's sending a message to people, you know, whether you feel that's the message you're sending or not. And,
so
taking some responsibility for that.
There's a couple.
But then also, I was thinking about let it sit inside your head like a million women in Philly Pin. And that made me think of, you know, those people who get into those relationships and you don't look for the respect in the beginning. So when the relationship starts to get untenable to the point where you feel like you have to defend yourself or you just start flipping out because you can't take it anymore, and then you end up in a situation where, you know, it's a domestic violence situation, or you've gotten into a crime situation, and you end up in jail just thinking about how you got there.
That's actually not the way I took that lyric, believe it or not.
Okay, well, that's the way I took it.
No, I mean, I don't know that you're wrong. Honestly, the way I heard that was you have, like, and this is going to get into the commentary on my politics and that. I think that they're talking specifically about all those men locked up and the women just waiting for these men that are in jail, thinking, oh, he's going to do right by me. Well, if he was going to do right by you, he wouldn't be there. He'd be taking care of you like he's supposed to.
Okay.
And here you are, waiting outside that plexiglass window, the penitentiary, for some dude.
It's an interesting other way of looking at it. But I mean, that's
and more importantly, like, that also takes it back to, like, the whole idea is that, like, women are chasing dudes with money, you know, and if he's gonna do whatever it takes for that money, maybe he's gonna end up behind bars because he's not doing the right things, and he's got that kind of respect for you. He's got that kind of respect for life in general. So I assume that, like, it's just women waiting on drug dealers in prison. Is the way I took that lyric.
I mean, you know, either way, there's definitely that self-respect element, and the, you know, where is this going to take you? Is that where you really want to be? Sort of question being brought up. So,
I really like the idea in the place where she goes. Let me see here. She points out the fact in particular that, you know, this is stuff that I've been through. I'm not, like, preaching at you from a place of I'm holier than thou.
Right.
I've lived this lesson, so if I can help you ignore or help you not go through the same bullshit that I've done, that's awesome.
Yeah.
I have a question for you, because I'm not entirely sure where she's going with this, and maybe you'll have a better idea than I do.
Okay.
Maybe. Look at where you be in hair weaves like Europeans, fake nails done by Koreans come again. What do you think that she's doing with that? I mean, just the idea of trying to fit in with the way the culture is. I guess I don't see the pertinence of that line necessarily to everything else. That's the one that kind of sticks out as a red herring to me.
I think to me it goes with kind of the fashion thing of, are you dressing in a way that shows your respect for yourself, or are you, you know, trying to look a certain way because you think that makes you more of a commodity? And do you really, you know what I mean? Can you embrace the beauty in yourself? And is that why you're doing your hair this way? Or are you doing your hair this way because you feel like that makes you better if you have the, quote, good hair?
Yeah. Okay.
That kind of thing.
All right. Let's see here. So we'll move on to the man verse.
Yes, and please impress us with your flowing abilities.
Well, I don't need to impress anyone. Like, the bar has been set quite low, Liz. If I can just read it at, like, a normal clip, I'm kind of ahead of the game.
Yeah, fair enough. I never claimed.
I didn't marry you because you're a rapper. Let's just say that. I get it.
Farm and street cred, people.
Okay. The second verse is dedicated to the men, more concerned with his rims and his Timbs than his women. Him and his men come in the club like hooligans, don't care who they offend, pop and yang like you got yen. Let's stop pretend the ones that pack pistols by the waist, man, crystal by the casement, still in their mother's basement. And that's a portrait right there.
Sure.
Once again, everyone, like, looks at Kanye West like he's a fucking lunatic about
being.
This is what, 1996?
Yeah.
And conservatism has never been far from the black people, like, culturally, like, it's there.
Yeah.
Like, it's in the messaging. People have just fucking ignored this, and it bugs the shit out of me.
Yeah.
And, like, I'm a deviant. I'm okay being a deviant. But I don't think that the world would work well if everyone was a deviant like me.
Not entirely sure where
and
that came
I
from.
want to be my deviant snowflake. So I'm always a little excited to see any artist putting out a message that's like, yeah, there's a legit way that you can live life, and this way works.
Yeah.
And it's better for everyone. So,
well, and economically speaking, that's an interesting comment to make because you're buying Cristal by the case, but you're still in your mom's basement. And if you were concerned with your living arrangements and the cost of that, would you really be throwing out the making it rain at the club every night? Like, is that a thing that you can do?
Well, once again, I think it's the same thing from a different angle. I mean, it definitely is in line with that Kanye song that we've already covered.
Yeah.
Who the fuck are you doing this for? Who are you trying to impress? Like, you're not getting ahead in life because of this. So who gives a shit that you got a nice fucking watch if you live in your mom's basement? You're gonna bring the fucking girl home there? No, you're gonna waste money at a hotel. Like, get your shit in order, take her back to your place, and fucking do what you want to do. Like, it's just unnecessary waste of money just to pretend and play dress up. Like, go become a celebrity. Don't fucking pretend to be one. Anyways, so the pretty face men claiming that they did a bid men need to take care of their 3 or 4 kids, and they face a court case when the child support late. Money taken and heartbreaking. Now you wonder why women hate men. The sneaky silent men, the punk domestic violence men, quick to shoot the semen, stopped acting like boys and be men. How you gonna win when you ain't right within? How you gonna win when you ain't right within? How you gonna win when you ain't right within? Come again. Once again, addressing seriously just the bare minimum here. Let's man up and be a part of the fucking life. Like, you're gonna knock somebody up, leave a woman in this position, and then not take care of your responsibility in that.
Yeah.
I mean, it's the whole fucking song is about personal accountability and personal responsibility from everybody's angles. Like, you really need to act right and do right by the people in your world if you want to have a world worth having.
Yeah.
I mean, am I wrong? What do you see here? What do you think that message is?
No, yeah, I agree. Like, the personal responsibility is it needs to be the focus, because otherwise you're creating an idea of a life that you can't support.
Now I want to draw something that I'm just taking note of now, and you can tell me if you have any thoughts on this. Actually, tell you what, let's do this first. Where would you give this on the scale? I'm honestly gonna go full on Eric July for this one, even though I know very specifically that Lauryn Hill is a total fucking commie.
Yeah, I don't know much about her politics personally.
Look at the dedications on the record, you'll get it.
Fair enough. But like I said before, she has a voice that I think people respect within a lot of communities, and anyone who's going to promote personal responsibility in a way that gets people to manage their shit, I think is a good thing. So yeah, I would be leaning towards the Eric July mark too.
Okay. Now, what I was gonna say, this is kind of like an aside from the actual song. It's not beyond me that we had a lot more to say about the first half of that song versus the second half of that song.
Sure.
Now, do you think that there is anything within culture that would make that the case? Bearing in mind, the first half of that song is about women and their role. The second half is about men and their role. And we both seem to have a lot to say about in the first half. The second half, not so much.
I think...
Do you think that it's a matter of culturally we're more comfortable critiquing women versus men, or...
I mean, that's a possibility. I was really talking about my experience as being, a woman and being through some of those situations. So that's why it rang more true to me. And
I know on my end, there's nothing. I don't feel any kinship with the guy that she's talking about in that second half. I definitely don't feel that.
So, I mean, obviously, there's a certain amount of a disconnect as far as talking about, I had a personal story attached to that first half.
Okay.
But no, I agree that there is perhaps culturally less of an expectation.
Okay.
Possibly.
On who? The women or the men?
On the men, unfortunately.
Okay.
And, I would like to believe that that's turning around with some of the shifts in culture and people understanding that we actually do need men and they're important to their kids and to families. But
well, that's funny.
What?
Well, no, I mean, because I'm assuming that let's say the SJW types would say that it's because we just don't critique men. We assume that they're doing right. They're the dominant ones.
Yeah, that I don't think that's the thing personally.
So you don't think that we both have an internal bias to be more critical of women versus men?
No, I think it has more to do with expectations personally.
You're gonna think about it though now, aren't you?
I mean, I would think about it either way. I think it's a good point to bring up, and I appreciate people thinking about it.
Okay.
In the broad spectrum of what is useful for moving forward, though, which idea of looking at it is more useful?
Oh no, absolutely.
I think raising the expectations is more useful than looking for an offense.
Oh no, absolutely. I don't see any value in. I won't say I don't see any value in acknowledging an issue, because I do. Like, I think that acknowledging if something is going on, understanding it is useful. However, I also don't see a need to focus on that, because once again, that's more of a symptom than a problem.
Yeah.
So, but anyways, it was just something that I kind of noticed as I'm watching the timeline go past here, and we spent considerably more time talking about
that. Yeah, no, I think it's a good thing, and I appreciate you pointing that out, since you're supposed to be like Mr. Patriarchy over there.
I know I'm a right-wing Nazi cishet male.
Which is
this always gets
totally
on my mind.
Not you, actually. So figure
that
out.
Yeah. I mean, first off, if you're going to pull out cishet male, this whole thing goes back to a conversation I had on Facebook. And seriously, all I did was draw attention to the fact that there was a woman talking about catcalling, or it was actually a man talking about catcalling.
On behalf of a woman?
No, he was just asking, he doesn't understand why men do it.
Okay.
Into which I did, my first comment for sure was snarky, but not inaccurate. I simply, question mark low-key racism.
Ah.
Okay. Now, granted, that is...
Them's fighting words.
It's bait, but then the attacks come.
Right.
To which I then have to... I attempt to educate.
Yeah.
At which point... There's no reaching them. Like, the fact of the matter is that catcalling is an upper class educated woman problem. It is a classist thing for sure to bitch about.
Okay.
By the way, I totally don't get catcalling myself. I'm an educated white man. Like, right. I it's not part of my world. I've never understood that level of bravado. But in this particular instance, the final word, this is on a friend's post. She's not a friend anymore, because if you allow your friends to pile on me and don't try and get to the bottom of my thought, then you're not going to be my friend, really. You clearly don't give a shit about me, and fuck you. The issue is that who disproportionately makes up the lower class in our society.
Right.
The lower socioeconomic group is mostly minorities.
Right.
Okay? Now, when you add to that, all the people commenting on this are upper class white women.
Right.
Who are berating me, one of which called me a cishet white man.
When they don't know you, so
they don't know me, because clearly I'm not that.
Yeah.
I won't say I'm gender fluid or any of that shit, but I'm definitely fucking weird.
Yeah.
I don't know. Would you use queer?
I mean, I think queer is kind of an umbrella term, so sure,
Yeah, because I mean,
use that.
I've shown up places in women's negligee.
Yeah,
it's
not
things that I've done.
And I mean, to me personally, the idea of labeling someone without, really knowing anything about them and using that label as a justification for your indictment of them.
I'm not a heterosexual man. So, I just
short-sighted for sure.
My point is that's your argument.
Yeah.
My point is.
Oh well, and that's their whole argument.
Technically, I'm out lefting them in this one because it's like, okay, so this is where they go with it. Well, they've all been catcalled by white men.
Okay, and?
Okay, I didn't say that.
You
only
didn't say
black
it was
people.
exclusively minorities.
I would actually say that that's an indictment of them being in a place with predominantly white people and not living in a place where there are a lot of black people. If you don't know, Cleveland is a horribly racially segregated city.
Yeah,
like literally, you can drive around the city and from neighborhood to neighborhood, like it can be pretty well ethnically divided.
Yeah, you know where you are.
Yeah, I know where the Asian people live. I know where the Puerto Ricans live. I know where the black people live, and I know where the white people live. I also know where the Jews live.
And that's.
But they're all using their own personal experiences as the model for the way society should be, and the fact, like, to no concern that, well, okay, so if you want to enact some policy surrounding catcalling, it is going to disproportionately affect black people.
Right.
You're ignoring the science on this if you believe otherwise.
Yeah.
Like, the studies are in. This is what it's going to do, and they basically, they're like, it's fucked up that you would inject race into this discussion.
Right, and you're not injecting race, you're just
I'm just not.
Fact.
No, more importantly, I'm not injecting race. You're extracting race.
Yeah.
You're ignoring that is a component of what's going on here. I'm sorry, I had a vent. That pissed me off.
Well, I mean, it's always amazing to me how they're very happy to bring race into the...
It actually kind of tied in nice with this song, too.
Yeah, it does.
Because I imagine that those guys in that second half are the catcallers.
Yeah. But to bring race into the conversation when they feel it's serving their purpose, but when, it's calling into question their motives, then they don't want to talk about race.
Because I'm going to tell them right the fuck now, I spend a lot of time in clubs on the black side of town, and shit's different than it is over here in fucking the east side or the west side.
Yeah.
Like, it's just different.
Yeah.
And when you live in a fucking place that's all white people, yeah, you have one image of the world. It's just not the fucking way it is. So
there you go.
Moving along, I guess.
Oh, Facebook.